This is the specific sewing machine problem that often results in skipped stitches or in some cases no stitches being formed at all. I am going to demonstrate exactly how you can resolve this issue both quickly and quite easily. We are going to examine what occurs when the needle bar height is out of adjustment, not properly calibrated, or simply not set at the correct height, and we will observe the impact that has while we are sewing. Now let us lower the needle down and step on the foot pedal. If we look closer, we can see the machine is skipping stitches. Notice here, these stitches are much larger than they should be under normal conditions. You can spot them right in this section. In this particular instance, we are going to proceed with adjusting the height of the needle bar. Before we actually get started with the process, let's go ahead and take all of this equipment down. I'm going to demonstrate for you exactly where the needle is currently reaching in its stroke. I will also show you precisely where it ought to reach and exactly where the hook point needs to pass in relation to the needle bar. Let us begin the procedure by taking everything off of the machine. First, we are going to remove the pressure foot, then we will remove the needle plate. Now we are going to proceed by removing the slide plate from the machine. Please remember that this specific component should always be slid out carefully towards the front. Next, we are going to open up the bobbin case retainer. To do this, we have to push it firmly to one side and then lift it out of its position. The bobbin case along with the bobbin itself. It is also possible for me to go ahead and remove the feed dogs entirely. Now remember, we need to loosen these two screws and then remove the feed mechanism just so we can get a much better view of everything. Next, we are also going to remove this small plate here, which acts as a support for the bobbin case and the retainer as well. We will remove one screw and then loosen the other two screws. Now some models might have three, but this specific one only has two screws, and then we just slide it out to the side. You can clearly see this part slides out quite easily, and there you have it right in front of us. Moving along, we are now going to proceed to remove and take down the protective cover that shields the needle bar assembly. In this particular case, this model has the screw located on this side. We loosen it. Alright, now we are going to slowly rotate the hand wheel, so let us lower the needle down. Please remember that the machine is currently set to a standard straight stitch. As we turn the hand wheel, we can observe right now that the hook point, this specific part here, this is the hook point, is what catches the needle thread to interlock them and create the stitch. We can clearly see that the hook point is now passing directly through the needle eye. This is causing the machine to create some stitches while skipping over others, just as we were able to observe on the fabric. It is clearly visible that the tip of the hook is passing underneath the eye. This issue causes the sewing machine to skip stitches, which means it either won't sew at all or it will continue to skip them repeatedly. Please keep in mind that on this specific machine, the hook timing is already properly adjusted. Therefore, that indicates we need to perform a calibration. Specifically, we need to adjust the height of the needle bar. Now, we are going to proceed with the next step, which is to locate and access the screw that secures the needle bar in place. Now we're going to move over to the needle bar, and I'm going to show you the two different methods we can use to adjust the bar height. Normally, needle bars come with some reference lines at the top, and as we can clearly see here, this one has two. So typically these bars tend to wear down quite significantly due to constant use, and on many machines, these markings often have a tendency to fade or wear away over time, which can lead to inconsistencies in the needle bar height adjustment. This means it is not entirely reliable to depend on these two specific lines because they tend to wear down, which causes the bar height to shift. And if we use this part as a guide, we are likely to encounter problems further down the line. Now let's move on to the second step, which is much more reliable, and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, let's put the needle plate on and set it to straight stitch, and we'll make sure the needle is at its highest point. Now we're going to take a ruler that measures in millimeters and see how much distance there is from the needle tip to the needle plate. As we can see here, we currently have a measurement of 16 millimeters. We can see that the height is set too high, so the hook tip is unable to catch the needle thread. What are we going to do about this? We will do the following. We need to loosen the screw that holds the needle bar in place. We are going to locate this specific screw, which, if we turn the hand wheel, we see always moves up and down with the needle bar. This is the one that holds the bar in place. There it is. We are going to set the needle at its lowest point and then loosen this screw. Once the screw is loosened, we are able to easily lower or raise the needle bar assembly without the machine or the hand wheel moving at all. At this stage, we are going to proceed to set it precisely to 14 millimeters. Now that we have it positioned exactly at 14 millimeters, we are going to observe the following result. During the left drop, we can clearly see that the needle tip no longer passes anywhere near the hook area at any point in the cycle. If we shift the needle position back just a little bit, we can observe that it will no longer rub against this specific section of the hook at all. You can see exactly what I mean right here. Consequently, the ideal height setting for this machine would be exactly 14 millimeters. And as we mentioned previously, since the hook is now properly adjusted, we can clearly see that the tip. The hook is passing just slightly above the eye of the needle. You can clearly see it right there in front of you. By doing this, we can ensure that whether you are working in straight or zigzag mode, the machine will not skip any stitches at all. Now, let's take a closer look at it from the right side, and you will see that the tip is always going to pass above the eye. Now let's go ahead and set it back to the straight stitch. Likewise, we can clearly observe that the tip passes just above the eye. This alignment guarantees that the machine will perform its stitching perfectly. Now, we are going to reassemble all of the parts and test the operation on the fabric. Finally, we will mount the bobbin case back into position. We pull the retainer towards the bobbin case so that this part holds it in place and it doesn't jump out. If you look closely, you can see this specific one right here. We can clearly observe a 2 millimeter difference. Now the next step is to shift it just a little bit. We want to ensure that we have a gap of approximately 1 millimeter. As you can clearly see, the thread is intended to pass through this specific opening. It requires a sufficient amount of clearance to move freely without getting caught or snagged on this particular component. Therefore, if you find that your thread is getting caught or snagged around this area, you are to loosen these screws slightly and shift the position just a tiny bit. You can see the thread passing through that opening right there. Once that is finished, we will go ahead and tighten the screws. And then what's next? We insert the bobbin past the thread through the tension discs, attach the needle plate and the presser foot, and then test it on the fabric. Alright, we thread the machine, lower the needle down, and finally step on the foot pedal now. We take off the presser foot, turn it over, and we can see the difference. As you can clearly see here, the bottom seam is no longer skipping any stitches at all. This is a major improvement compared to the top one, which was consistently skipping stitches. You can really see the difference right here. Now we are going to test it on the widest possible zigzag setting. We will raise the needle, set the widest zigzag, and then step on the pedal. We take out the material. And please double check it. And here we can observe how it didn't skip a single stitch at any point, neither while performing the straight stitching nor while doing the zigzag.